Hello, everybody. It is Micha Green, DC editor, and I am so excited to be here with NFL legend Santana Moss. Oh my goodness, we have so much to talk about today, but you know the drill. Before we even get started, your girl has to share the stream and make sure that the people know that we're live and going. So as soon as I share, we will get to going. Let me make sure. There we go. Okay. Okay. I was trying to tag you on there, but we'll tag it later. How are you doing? This is so exciting to get to talk to you. I'm native Washingtonian, so I got to hear your name all the time in my
Oh
house.
man, that's love. That's love. Thanks for having me on, man. I'm doing great actually. Just doing my daily due. I just had my lunch. I worked early this morning and I saved my workout to after this because I know I'll be tired and I'll be in here napping a little longer than I normally do. So I wanted to jump on this, and chat with you for a little while before I got started.
Well, I so appreciate you carving out the time. I mean, these are crazy, unprecedented times that we're in
Yeah.
right now in general, and so thank you so much for giving us a bit of your day. I just have to say, because you gave us sort of your daily routine, the show we had before this, called which we call Chicken Box, gave us the opportunity to talk about, or rather, I'll say this week's theme. We always talk about Black stereotypes, etc., and try to debunk them. But this week was Black people versus the Rona, and we talked about how during the coronavirus, what are people's ways of staying healthy, and we had a doctor on the show who said eating is so incredibly important. Making sure you schedule your meals and working out, and so as
Yeah.
a professional athlete, you saying this, first of all, is just emphasizing exactly what we were just talking about. But how are you staying mentally and physically well during this time?
I'm trying to be as educated as I can with just the circumstances and the stuff, the unknown that we don't know about this virus. All I know is what I read and what I hear, and I just, whatever they say do, I'm abide by it. I'm just trying to, go to where I can go, getting the essentials as they say, and just stay away from large crowds. And if I can, mask up and clean my hands as much as I can, and much as I have been doing, and if that prevents it, then I'm doing that to make sure that I'm doing my part to stay as safe as I could.
So I know you've also been busy. We know you as a great football star, but you have been doing a lot with the community, a lot giving back, and obviously fostering not only the next generation of athletes, but good human beings in general. And that is with your organization, 89 Ways to Give. So tell us about 89 Ways to Give, and some of the work that you've been doing with 89 Ways to Give.
I mean, it all started out. Me and my manager, we kind of met each other in the gym, surprisingly, and she worked with some folks locally, and she kind of, asked me, "Have I ever, had a foundation?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I had a foundation from day one since way before I got into the league." And I explained to her what I want to do and what I've always been doing from day one, but I haven't been doing it at a high level out here in Ashburn, where what now I call home. And so she just said, "Hey, I'm good at reaching out and linking, things and doing stuff of that matter. So let's see if we can, you know, partner up together and see if we can get this thing going." So we formed 89 Ways to Give, and my main goal was to just, I'm trying to inspire, our youth. I'm trying to build character in some of these, young men and women that, it's easy to be said and, then done. But the many kids I come across, regardless of, great homes or whatever they might come from or backgrounds, it's still like it's always something missing. And I've been a kid. We all, had our times growing up and had a friend or two that, might not have that person that they can lean on and share things with that they go through at home. and that might have been the reason why they didn't make it or succeed. And I feel like I'm a living example of someone that I had a good support system, one, but if I didn't have the support system, mentally, I was always motivated to go out there and live my dream. And a lot of these kids don't have that kind of same motivation or, thought process. So I showed them that, hey, if I can be touched, if you can touch me, which I showed them by being around me and putting on certain events and having them there and being their mentor, then you can be me and even more. And that's why we really want to start 89 Ways to Give, because I want to be that person in the community that they can always see, that I'm so active that it almost gets tiring of seeing me, but it's not going to be tiring of them because that's what they need. They need that love. They need that real, true definition of love from somebody other than their loved ones, that's showing them that they care. And that's what I want to be about. And so, with all that said, we put on different events where I have my annual Moss Academy camp. We partner up with different groups in the Salvation Army, you name it, for toy drives, food giveaways, anything that matters in the community, of just giving somebody that lending hand. When it comes to back to school supplies, we've been there. We've been trying to do the utmost to just show them that at the end of the day, you can always count on us, and we're going to be here. Because I've always been here, and I've always had this passion, and I'm not going to say probably, I'm never going to stop. Thinking about them, because I understand that they are future and someone needs to, be behind them.
And so I know that like you mentioned, one of the events that you do is a back to school and school supply drive. That looks different in a lot of places this year. Were you all still able to provide supplies for students, or how did that work?
It's crazy nowadays. I mean, when it comes down to it, we find a way. And one of our things has been, with everything that we have done now, is basically like, social distancing and drive up. Everything is a drive up nowadays. So yes, and that's what we had to do. We had to abide by, what's, our regulations, or how we can do things. But we're still here. We're gonna be that group, that supporting cast that's gonna always make sure that, for those who are in need, we're gonna be there for them.
I think it's so amazing that you are a mentor, that you're out there with the foundation, that you're actually having moments with these young people. You are a celebrity. Do you ever feel like it either is dangerous, or obviously it's not below you because you're doing it, and you feel it's important, but do you ever feel any sense of fear or danger surrounding being in these sort of spaces?
I pay attention to my surroundings, very closely. I'm one of those guys. I'm always watching front, back, side, but I also put the right people around me. I understand I can't be out here by myself walking the walk I'm trying to walk and steady watching my back a lot of times. So I have to have people around me that I know that, my interest is their best interest as well. So I keep the right core group of people around me to make sure that when I'm, so into the others, that they can be into me, and making sure that I'm safe. But, at the same time too, I just try to be there, man. I think I believe in just, people, and sometimes it's hard to believe in a lot of folks, because they can be the first people to let you down. But I try to show them that, I'm not going to let them down. That's why I do the things I do. That's why I'm out here. I never considered myself as a celebrity. I grew up and had a dream, just like some of these kids. And I said to myself, as early as I can remember, 5, 6 years old, when asked, that I was going to play football for a living one day. And it came true. Trust me, it wasn't something that was given. I had to work for it. I mean, I remember the days that I felt like, man, it's not going to come true. So to see myself get there, and to see myself had the career I had, I have to be able to share that to these kids. A lot of these kids are ready to give up on the littlest things, because of, like I said before, that support system, or not having one at all. And I want to be proof. I want to be living proof that, just believe, and continue to strive. And everything, it's all about sacrifice. It's nothing you get in life without sacrifice. And trust me, man, I speak on that, vividly, because I believe in it so much, because I've seen myself sacrifice so much to have what I want, and I still do that to this day. So, beyond that celebrity stuff, I'm just like the regular Joe Blow. That's how I live my life. But at the same time, I understand that I made a name for myself. So therefore, long as they know, I know, but I want them to know that I'm just like them.
And you have this opportunity to talk to people who want to walk in the shoes that you did. Is there ever a moment where you say, man, I wish that I could give myself that advice when I was, 12
Mhm.
years old, when I was 15? And if so, what would that advice be that you could have told your younger self?
I mean, honestly, man, the younger me, I was motivated, man. Man, look, I saw my surroundings from day one. My parents kind of be in awe when I share with them things I saw, and they didn't know I paid attention to it. But from day one, I knew the life that I was living, it wasn't the life I wanted to live. And um, as early as, when I can, remember things like when it comes to my surroundings, like 7, 8 years old, I remember saying, nah, this ain't what I want out of life. I don't want to be living in these circumstances. I want more. And not saying that because my mom just didn't have it and they should give me more. No, hey, I'm satisfied with what they provide for me because I understand that they're working hard for it. But what I want, what I want to be when I'm in their shoes, I want different. I want more. So when I was able to, get a chance to live out that dream playing football, when my mom finally let me to play ball at 12 years old, I took off. I didn't look back, man. I'm like, hey, this is my ticket. And trust me, every year wasn't peaches and cream, man. I had ups and downs, many of those ups and downs, and all the way into high school. And I just kept believing. So I would tell my 12-year-old self to keep that same mindset that I had when I was 12, because, like I said, even having those upbringings, I believe that kind of built me to be the guy that I am, and allowed me to know that I can have it. It's crazy that I can sit here and say I knew I was going to have that moment one day. I didn't, but I think I was just built and wired a little different from others. You know what I'm saying? To this day, I still say that I have different things that I feel, and when I'm feeling things, I tell myself to pay attention to that because that's a sign. And I was feeling them same things when I was young. Like I had a feeling things was going to happen. So I believed in it and it came true. So I would tell the kids now, just go with it. You know what I mean? It's sacrifice is something I always keep, I'm always going to, harp on them. But I'm also going to tell them that, a coach told me I would use this thing. I'm running into the ground because that's how much he meant to me. And that's how much those words meant to me is opportunity favors the most prepared.
Mm.
And you be prepared and the opportunity come, you can take off. And I've been that guy. I was always telling myself, this is what I want. So I always stayed on it. And when the opportunity opened up, I went head first.
That's so inspiring. I mean, I feel like not only an aspiring football player can take that advice and have success, anybody hearing that advice really, really can be moved.
Yeah,
And I'm over here inspired from it. So thank you very much.
no doubt.
Speaking of inspired, I know that Inspire Change, which is the NFL's mentorship and philanthropy sort of wing, was very instrumental in funding and grants, not only for 89 Ways to Give, but other organizations and with other NFL athletes. I'm curious, did you, when you were in the NFL, was the organization, the large organization, as well as the people that you worked with, pushing the need for philanthropy? And then how did you sort of get with Inspire Change, knowing that you were doing, you had already had your foundation, you were already doing
Yeah.
these awesome things?
Honestly, man, I didn't know nothing about it. Honestly, I just had this goal from day one that, man, when I make it, I'm going to give back to everybody, like any and everybody that's around me. I'm going to show them that this is how you're supposed to do it. And so, like I said before, I learned the hard way. I used to go in my pocket for everything. Like, I would just go in my pocket. I want to throw an event for these kids at this neighborhood that I grew up in. I'm putting up rides. I'm bringing out guess I'm just going to put my money into it and do it. And before you know it, folks that have been in those shoes before, they kind of gave me heads up, like there's, organizations that can do that for you. And so when I finally, pay heed to it and realized and it wasn't so, smart to just keep throwing your money into all this stuff. You can lean on others as others have leaned on you. I took advantage of it, and I told my manager about it, and we kind of, got into it. I mean, I wish I would have known this when I was playing the 14-year career I had, because I probably did all that myself in those years. But it's been great that now that I'm retired, I can lean on them and they can provide and help me provide for others. Because I think without them, it won't be as easy as it was before, because now, after you retire, you try to hold on to everything you have because you're not bringing in those big dollars, but you want whatever you obtain to really continue to make those dollars for you. So I'm glad to be a part of them, and I'm glad to be able to use them as a service. And trust me, when it comes to the kids that that I'm reaching out to and touching, I'm not doing it by myself.
I think we know that this time in particular, people need help. Not only the pandemic, but we're seeing the extreme effects of systemic racism. People
Yes.
are protesting in the streets, etc. I hear a lot of people say, I want to help, but how? I want to do something, but how? And from talking to you today, it sounds like it's starting with the young people. But what would your advice be for those who want to give back, who don't have the bucks, who don't have organizations like Inspire Change to reach to? How would you say that these people can help right now?
I mean, it's all about educating, the ones that's not educated. Folks look at racism and all this stuff, and a lot of it is what I've seen is just basically, homegrown. Some of these folks don't know nothing but what they know. So when it comes down to, I get caught up in, and I don't get caught up into worrying about how somebody view me. I understand it exists. I've been a part of it. I see it daily. I'm in here in Virginia now. I grew up in Miami. We rarely see that down there. It's so diverse. But I'm in Virginia, and I remember from day one when I got here, I've been treated like that by Caucasian folks, and I'm looking at them like, man, I'm the worst. I'm the least problem you have. I'm not worried about you, and see, please don't worry about me, because I'm not here. I'm not your enemy. But I've always loved everybody. I've always tried to show people that from day one, just how I interact with them. And I think the best way folks can help that don't really know is by teaching these little ones, man. Like, grab a little one and show them who you are and who they are and what it's about. One of the things I try to do when we at my camps is, I have all different races, you name it, and I make them stand up and speak out loud in front of each other. That's something that a lot of these kids don't have. They can't. They hide their heads. They hide their eyes. They don't want to look at you as a man, and speak out with their chest. And I show, because I'm trying to build character as well. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that's something that's major in our world today. You have to build within. So you take them while they're young and show them what's needed to be done. So when they're older, they'll know how to walk that walk. And I show them that, look, you see every man in here, whether he's your cousin, friend, or you know him or you don't know him, we all brothers, one band, one sound. And when we leave from here, if you're not around me, when you see him in the street, that's how you treat him. That's your brother. That's somebody you experience something that no one else experienced with y'all. What we're gonna go through in this week or 2 weeks, nobody else is gonna go through this together. And this blood, sweat, tears, whatever you might want to call it out here, because I get a lot of that, because them kids go out to each other and they have fun, and they leave that camp knowing that it wasn't just no summer camp where we're gonna have fun. They learn a little about themselves, and then they learn a little bit about others, and know how to treat others. So that's what I would tell them, man. I don't have all the answers. I don't. But I just know I try to walk away that I would want someone to walk if they didn't know. And that's why I try to lead by example. And so I try to lead with those kids, showing them, because I think they the ones we have to show first and teach first. And then we can have a better society and world, because those kids that we are teach them the right things. When they grow up, they can do the same thing, and we're doing, teaching the ones underneath them. So that would be my answer for that.
So since we're talking racism, etc., I gotta ask, because obviously the Washington football team has had their own moment of addressing racism, particularly this past summer, and the decision to change the name. First of all, when you were playing, even when you first were drafted to the Washington football team, did you have any sort of understanding or knowledge that the name was originally racist?
Not at all. I mean, honestly, I came over to Washington in '05. I was drafted by the New York Jets in '01. I spent 4 years there. I got here in '05. We had one of the best seasons in my years of being here. Went all the way to the playoffs, and it wasn't until I went to the playoff game to play Seattle when I realized that something was wrong with our name. It was folks outside, our bus picketing and rioting about, our name, and I was lost. I was sitting here like, what is going on? I thought it was just the fans getting on us because we're about to go and face their team, but it was deeper than that. I removed, myself from what was going on because I had to focus in on what I had to do my job. But afterwards, I asked somebody, what was that about? And then they told us, and they shared. It was brief though, because we had no clue, and a lot of folks probably amongst that organization probably didn't have a clue. But then now every year from there, you start hearing a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more. So it get to the point to where it hit the fan. And I think that I can't say I guess the best thing has happened, and that's the Washington football name, retiring the name that we was known as. And like I said before, don't get me wrong, I had no clue. I'm not sure how many other folks who was a part of the organization on the higher up knew more or didn't. But when people ask me that question about what do I think about it, I think it's always important to do right, and I think the right thing was done, regardless of how it happened. I get tired of hearing folks on TV talking about, well, they only did it because of this. It's done. That's what y'all want, right? You want change. We cry and harp. We want change immediate. We want to do it now. But as soon as we change now, it's still a problem. So it's done. It's put behind us. And I hope they can put that behind them, meaning the organization, and just move forward. Man, when I learned that it was offensive, and as crazy as it sounds, my family has a history. My grandmother is Native American, and
Wow.
have. Her dad was a Caucasian and her mom was Native American. And
Wow.
so it's crazy that sound. I grew up never knowing this. And so it's just crazy, man. But I'm glad, like I said before, I'm glad that it's behind us, and I'm hoping that we can move swiftly into recreating, that new name, whenever that new name might come, you know, um, a bond with that and move on and not have to talk on this matter again or speak
Any
on it.
predictions on the name?
I really don't have none. I hear so many of them, and I'm okay with the process of what the approach that they're taking, because I do believe that it's not something you can just do overnight. It's not, because you have to do this for this. This has to be forever. This has to
Yeah.
be something that you really pride yourself on, and your fan base rallies to and look forward to representing week in and week out. So I've been hearing them all, and I just want one that's going to stick and going to really truly represent this area. We have some of the best fans in the entire league.
We do.
You know that. You know that. You've been here long enough, man. That's what won me over with this area. When I got here, it was like, man, I was meant to be here, and that's why I haven't left. But this fan base has always been A1, and even through the ups and downs, and we have plenty of downs to talk about, especially in the last 15 years. So I'm just happy that we're trying to take the proper steps to making and creating change and being all for this new. It's not the new movement, but the movement that everyone has seen to really be about right now, and just making sure that we do our part with what's needed to be done.
And I think that you made a really good point, which is that these kinds of things take time. It shouldn't be an overnight sort of thing. I mean, Aunt Jemima popped into my head, and it's the same thing. We're not pressuring them to figure out what's the name of our new syrup now. So in the same way, I think that the time and craft and care that hopefully this new name will uh bring will show that not only the organization truly does care about the fans as much as the fans care about them, but that there was true thought put into something that had somewhat of a negative or offensive spin. Obviously the NFL, itself has really come a long way in addressing racism. I had Malcolm Lemons, and a former basketball athlete, but also an author on the show. talk about his new book, and how it really is important for athletes to understand their brand and what their brand is about. Obviously, everything, we know the Santana Moss brand. If we see something 89, we know it's the Santana Moss.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But have you, first of all, I want you to kind of talk about and unpack how you were able to develop your brand, but also, in this place that we are, have you ever felt any reticence in using your platform to address racism and using your platform to address some of the inequities?
That's a lot of great questions. Well, one, when it comes to my brand, I had to be, I wasn't big on, you know, believing I had a brand other than Santana Moss, But I thought about it. Yeah, I am my brand. I have to show folks who I am, and beyond football. It's funny because I talk about this a lot with folks. The different things I try to teach the kids that I'm talking to. I tell them day one that, look, I'm not trying to make you a football player. I'm trying to teach you different things that you're going to be able to use with you in life, regardless of what profession on or what path you take, in your professional career. And I believe that that's why I'm able to do what I do outside football, because I was going to be successful regardless. I've always banked on football being that one thing that get me out of where I was at. But my goal was to be able to walk this walk and be the person that I am. So I'm glad that I'm able to, have something that football given me, which is my brand, beyond my name. And I can just use that because that's what people know me by. That's that staple that I can use. And people say, well, you know what, I'm going to join that because I know that guy. I know what he meant when he played between those white lines, and I know what he means, just doing his daily. Beyond that, being vocal and being heard when it comes to a lot of the things that we go through in life, or that we've been going through from day one. I'm not big on, just speaking on things. One of the things I like to do is I like to have a plan. And if I feel like something that I bring up can actually happen, that it's going to create or allow us to move forward and have change, then I'm going to speak up about it. Just to be speaking on things, I can't do that. I don't like to just be talking. I'm a man with not many words, So anytime I'm asked that question, Tanner, what are you doing? Someone just hit me on the Instagram, and I want them to know that, yeah, I'm aware of them hitting me up, asking me what am my take on this, and put their little emoji by, like, I see it, but I'm not gonna be on here just talking. I can't be about that. I'm not here just for you to hear me. I'm doing things, behind the scenes with the folks that I know that, have my back to try to create that change. But until I can do it, then you won't know it. You won't know it's done. I'm not gonna be posting up anything, showing you a bunch of stuff that's going on until I know I can really, stamp it and put my name on it. So that's what I'm about. I'm for the cause. I'm for everybody who's out here walking the walk. But beyond walking it, man, we have to have a plan.
Yeah.
And I find it odd when I see folks just say, "Hey, we're gonna march, or we're gonna peacefully protest," and it's nothing behind that. If you want to understand, if you want to know why we haven't moved forward since all this stuff has taken place, is because it's really no plan. You have to have something more than just, we're going to sit up here and we're going to show them people that we're not going to leave. No, what's the next plan? So don't get me wrong. Don't hear me wrong either. I'm for it, but please have something more that we can really move forward with, that can allow us to see a real change, and not to say we're going to do this until they give us change. No one's going to give us anything. We have to have a way that we know the right way to create that change.
As I hear that answer, it's so clear that you've learned so much from your many years on the field, from 12 to University of Miami, all the way, to your career here in DC. What would you say were some of the most valuable lessons that you took from off the field, that you're not only, feeding to those students in the 89 Ways to Give, but taking in your everyday life?
Well, one of the things we hear all the time in sports, period, is perseverance. About how many times you're going to face it, and how many times it's trying to see who's going to quit, who really wants it. I had a kid reach out to me today. He's like one of my favorite kids in camp. His grandmother reaches out to me all the time. They love 89. They make me all kind of blankets and quilts. They just been one of my biggest supporters. And I would never know unless I started these camps that when they first found out that I was doing a camp, she brought her grandson because she wanted to show me the support that that was needed to let me know that how much they backed me and how much they've been a fan.
Mm.
And she said her grandson is going through it right now because one, he hadn't had camp this year. We couldn't do camp because of COVID. And she was like, but she like, now school is going to be, online. And he's telling her, man, like he's going through it. She said he just going through it. So much stuff that's going on that's not his norm. And she said she made his desk up for class since it has to be online and everything is viral. And she put little different things around it that symbolizes some of the things that he learned in camp. And she said she asked him, why doesn't he want to do this the way, virtually go to school? And he just like, I can't, blah, blah, blah. She said she put some key quotes that I had on there about not giving up, even no matter how hard it is and what you're going through in life, don't give up, and different little pictures of me and him. And she said when he saw it, okay, boom, it clicked again. So phew, that's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? Like, trust me, I had so many times I could quit. And I sit here and think about him vividly. I mean, every day I think about, man, you remember this moment? You remember this moment? You remember this moment? Me and my friends talk about it so much to this day. And I share a story just briefly with a friend of mine. I remember I walked on to the University of Miami. I was a track scholarship. I was awarded a track scholarship. And they told me I had a chance to come in and play football. So that was the reason of going. But they
Mm-hmm.
also told me that my first year would just be, I would be a walk, I would be a walk on, I would be redshirted. And surprisingly, I was able to go out there and play my first year. So I made a name for myself that first year and played. And people were like, wow, this guy really can play football. See, I knew that, even though they didn't know that I was, worthy of that scholarship, I knew that. So I was able to go out there and show them, regardless of how I got here, I was going to prove to you that this is what I do. So beyond all that, now moving on to my sophomore season, they tell me out the gate, you're going to be a starter next year. What you showed us last year as a freshman, you're going to start. I get all the way to that training camp and have a bomb training camp, off season, you name it. The last day of training camp, I break my jaw. And they tell me you're done for this year. Done. Impossible. No, you're done. You have a hairline fracture where it's at. It's going to take 3 months. I'm sitting there just like, man, here's another moment. I could quit. I'm like, damn, I don't did all this work, came far as I come, and now you can tell me I got to put this season behind me. And so I don't know what it was in me to ask, but I just asked because I feel like closed mouth don't get fed. I say, Doc, is there any other thing I can do to just play this year? Like, it don't matter how soon. I just want to play. He's like, well, I can put a plate in there and you can play within 2 weeks. Oh, you tripping? Put that plate in there, So it's crazy to sound. He say, man, I have to, you're considered a minor. I have to ask someone that your elder, your an adult. Look, that's my mouth. My mom them come in. Look, they got to put a plate in here for me to play. This is what we doing. Okay, that's what you want to do. That's what we doing. So I remember that, but I remember the coaches didn't take that well. So they saw that okay, I lost 20 pounds like immediately. And I'm out there working out with my mouth wide shut because I have in my head, I'm playing as soon as these wires come off within 2 weeks. They
Mm-hmm.
told me, no, Tanner, you're not going to be playing this year. Coaches don't want, man, screw what coach saying. I'm going to prepare to play. And that goes back to what that coach told me, about being ready. So I practice with the team. I'm not in pass. I'm just out there doing the drills, making sure I keep my cardio up and my endurance. And I missed 1 week. The next week, the wires come off. So I'm in pass again. Coach give me this funny helmet and say, Tanner just out here, don't hit him. I went out my way and got some contact because I wanted to show them, okay, what you got playing, I'm playing. I worked too hard to be in this situation, and I'm going to show you I can play. Long story short, they allowed me to play that year. The next game, I skyrocket off and have the amazing first 3 games out the gate. I think I had 6 touchdowns in 3 games. And I had a great first season as a starter. And I look back at that moment and I'm saying that there was a time where I could have, just gave in, like, man, I'll wait the next year. But I felt like I put too much into, and the opportunity was now. Who knows what would have happened next year? this is my opportunity. This is my chance to capitalize on the work I put in. So that's what I believe in. That's what I've always been about. And beyond football, that's how I walk, because I understand football allowed me to understand that that's how life is. You know, it's going to be ups and downs, but it's all about how you mentally handle it. And if you can handle it and know that at the end of the day, I'm put in this situation for a reason. You know, I can't cry over spilled milk. I can't cry over something that I don't have. But what I do have is the opportunity to put my first foot forward, regardless if it's hard or not. And trust me, man, that's why I share what I share to these youth, because a lot of them don't hear that and they don't get it at home. So if I'm able to be that vessel, then I do that.
I had no idea that Santana Moss was going to be giving us a preaching sermon today. I am so inspired. I mean, just so many gems. I guess my last selfish question before we wrap is, you know, like I said, I grew up looking at you and not only, you know, playing, but in Eastern Motors commercial, you know, just out and sort of being not only, you know, the star of the Washington football team, but a true face of fun and entertainment. And I'm just curious, can we see any TV for you? I know you're doing some color commentating and things like that, but any TV, any art sort of stuff your way? You know, so entertaining over the years.
The doors are wide open for anything. You know, one of the things I do, I always leave every opportunity open. Like if you come to me with it, you know, I'm about it. Right now, I've been privileged to be a part of, you know, the covering the Washington football team for the last 6 years now since I've been retired. So that opportunity was something that I didn't seek. It was given, and when it was given, I just had to dive in. Like I said before, when opportunities happen, the doors open for things. You have to say, hey, this is a reason. This is something's calling me this way. So every year I've grown with that. Who knows though, man? I've done many commercials, so I know I'm ready for that one moment when somebody want to put me on the big screen. But just to give you a little backstory on that, I grew up in doing drama and plays and stuff as a kid. So, like I said before, I'm ready for whatever. So I just haven't really, punched the ticket in on that right now, because I'm enjoying covering football. That's the sport that got me the name. That's the sport that got me to where I'm at today. And as long as I can do this, I would do so.
First of all, thank you for that answer, but I'm just amazed and geeking out that you grew up doing drama and the arts. I went to Duke Ellington School of the Arts. I majored in college. So the theater geek in me is like totally going crazy right now. Santana Moss, thank you so much for today. Anything you want to leave our viewers with before we wrap?
You know, like I said, I'm not a man of many words, but I just want to tell you guys I appreciate you for having me, and 89 Ways appreciate all the opportunities that we've been having, you know, for the many different gifts that we've been given so I can bless these kids. So just thank you again for allowing me to share some of my stories.
Well, thank you so much. You are doing such amazing things. And please come back to Afro Live to share a little bit more about 89 Ways or that big movie, TV, whatever. You got to come back and talk to us.
No doubt.